Hey everyone, I'm Wilmer Valderrama.
This is Freddy Rodriguez.
Welcome to Dos Amigos.
Wilmer, how are you, man?
I'm good. What are you sipping on?
I am sipping on the coffee that you made me upstairs. By the way, everybody, Wilmer has an incredibly fancy coffee machine upstairs, and he's quite the barista.
I take my coffee ritual muy serios, as we say in Latiniliosos.
I don't know if you can see that right there. I mean, he has a like that's like a Starbucks quality.
It's about the tone too.
Shut
You
up.
want like a disarming brown.
Disarming brown.
You want the coffee to be a disarming brown.
You should pitch that color to like Bear Paints.
And
Disarming brown.
Valderrama Cafe. Disarming brown is a medium roast.
We make it disarming brown.
A disarming brown coffee. And what does that mean? It means like it invites you, and once you go to half a cup, it's too late.
It's too late.
You got
because
full,
you've been
full
disarmed.
anxiety with the caffeine.
You've been disarmed from the beginning, so now it's too late. I like your sweatshirt,
You've been
man.
seduced by the disarming brown. Yes. So this is our new collection of EPU, E pluribus unum, which means out of many one. It's actually really exciting. It's our fitness apparel brand that has an impact program. The impact program is actually taking off. We have tons of missions throughout the year. It's been really beautiful. So we have a partnership with a company that has these beautiful vintage frames, and we are honoring those vintage frames with graphics that that really reflect on certain times of war. So this seal here, I think this is a seal.
Yeah.
The seal is balancing a bomb, right? But this seal was technically in the nose of one of these planes that will go into missions in war zones.
Yeah.
So this was kind of like, how sometimes they have like the pinup girl at the side of the plane. These were also part of that kind of culture of putting certain graphics on aircrafts, helicopters, and things like that. So we're embracing that and making it part of the brand. It's really fun. It's just really cool. And if you want to know more, EPU HQ, as in headquarters, EPUHQ.com.
Did you design it?
Yeah, we had a whole team that kind of brought the sentiment, and we all started kind of spitballing things. And but our team, our graphics team, just aced it. We were like, what if, and then they just pitched this thing, and it's really great. And then also we have a handful of arrows to the meaning of the handful of arrows.
No.
So if you grab a bunch of arrows, together. And you try to break them, it's impossible. So a number of arrows coming together, becoming an unbreakable, task. So it's an unbreakable bond. And the idea is that out of many arrows, one invincible approach type of thing. So it's become kind of like our new tag, and our new tag on the back of the sweatshirts too was pretty cool.
It looks like a cool sweatshirt that you would buy like at Fred Siegel.
Yeah, kind of, right? It feels like that. It feels like that. Not going to be as expensive, guys. It's definitely a lot more affordable. But we wanted to make this affordable. The point is that this brand also fuels the impact program. Right?
Good.
Like the idea is it's a private company who is pledging, its profit to also, to also fund the change in the missions and the agendas. But anyways, enough about me.
Yeah.
So today's episode, we're very excited about. Leo, our lead producer of Dos Amigos, had a really good idea. We were coming back to fundamentals. We had a streak of amazing guests, some really great friends of ours with a lot of reflection on our stuff. I hope all of you guys also have taken some from those episodes as well. I know we definitely walked away with a great deal of appreciation for not only our friends, but the sentiment of starting from scratch and their stories. So we find the relativity in theirs and in ours, right? So that was really cool. But he had this cool idea. Yeah. And this episode is called What If?
What if?
What if everything that happened, all those little moments at the beginning of our lives, or the moments where we decided we were going to be what we are now. Yeah. What if those moments never happened? What is the road? What would have been? And I don't want to call it a plan B or a plan C, but like what would your life would have been if... I don't know, if you hadn't auditioned for that play. Yeah. If you hadn't gotten into the theater group, or same thing. Like if I had auditioned for this original Yellow Pages commercial in California, like what would have happened if I never got to audition again, like what would that path be?
Yeah. Or what if what was your earliest what if experience? Like, did you ever have like a near death experience? Like,
Yeah,
what if that would have happened?
right.
I mean, what was your earliest what if experience?
It wasn't so much a death experience for me, but it could have been a really bad experience for my sister. We were at a finca, which is our Spanish word for farm. We had a little ranch, a little farm in the middle of Venezuela,
No.
4 hours south of Venezuela, and we had horses, and I was, I think, about maybe 8 years old or something like that, and my sister was on this horse, and I was pulling this horse, and while I was walking, I kind of slowed down, and all of a sudden, the horse's head came here, and he opened his mouth, and I saw his teeth at the corner of my eye, and it scared me because I thought he was trying to bite me or something, and I screamed. And I just like started, and then the horse got spooked with my sister on it and took off.
Oh, wow.
And I froze, like I didn't know what to do in that moment.
How old are you?
I was about 8, I think,
Yeah.
8 or 9 years old. And then another lady that was like probably 10 yards in front of me thought quickly, and went and put her foot down on the reins and the reins, and slowed down the horse, and all of a sudden it stopped him from like going into the savannah and just like running aimlessly with my sister on it.
Wow.
And in that moment, I felt such great deal of guilt. Like I was just like, what if she would have fallen off? What if she would have broken her leg or her back or her neck? Like what if, like all these things, and I just became incredibly protective of my sister, and like, get down from there, get down this, don't do that, don't run that fast. Don't so like that really kind of marked me, but it would have changed in the trajectory of my life. I don't know if I would have had the confidence I have now. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I think about what if all of a sudden you're like, I couldn't even protect my sister. Could I have my own kids? You know what I mean? Like maybe it turns into that. You never know. But I guess this was one of those moments where I took close to something really bad happening. The other one was, and I wrote about it in my book, An American Story, Everyone's Invited. It was, we were in a private plane, and, oxygen stopped going into the cabin, and we had to do an emergency landing. And in that moment, it was like, what if that would have been it?
Right.
Would I still get a movie, a VH1 movie? Would
A VH1 movie?
Yeah, back in the day they used to do those really low budget
VH1
movies, the biopics about some
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. I've had a few of those too, man. I remember one time, and he probably doesn't remember this. I was in high school. It was my senior year of high school, and I grew up in Chicago. And unfortunately, sometimes Chicago is the murder capital of the United States, right? And I grew up in that kind of environment. And I had this really vivid dream that I got shot. I mean, I'm talking about like vivid, where I could like feel like the blast going through my chest and blood coming down and everything. And I woke up from the dream, and I couldn't speak. And remember back then when you would have somebody on speed dial?
Yeah.
And I had my wife Elsie on speed dial. We were dating, and I speed dialed her, and I couldn't speak, and she knew that something was wrong, and she talked me down. But the next day I went to school, and I had this premonition that something was going to happen. I just knew it. I just knew
something in the air, the energy.
Yeah, it was too real. It was like God was warning me,
Wow.
And so this was back when I was sort of heavily involved in the hip hop scene, and we had heard that Common was having a show on the south side of Chicago, and I live on the northwest side. And I was like, oh man, I said, I don't feel good about going to the south side. And they were like, come on, man, we're gonna go hang out with Common. And I was like, nah, I feel bad about it, And so I got convinced to go to the south side of Chicago. And we're waiting for Common and a bunch of people outside of this club. And because I was so hyper aware, I noticed that these two guys were getting into a fight on the sidewalk. And after they got into a fight, one guy jumped into his truck, started to take off. The other guy picked up a brick and threw it at the truck. And the guy got mad and went to the end of the block, turned around, and came barreling down the sidewalk in his truck. And because I was so hyper aware of that dream, I saw the truck coming a mile away, and my best friend Marco had his back turned to the truck, and I grabbed him and I threw him out of the way, and we got out of the way. So what if I didn't have that dream? We probably would have still went to the south side, and I wouldn't have been aware, and we probably both would have gotten run over.
Yeah, I mean, and that's it. I mean, even if you had survived, like, what would your life been?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man. I also think, what if, like, you know, my wife Elsie was pregnant when I was 19 years old. You know, I was a young man, and what if she would have gotten an abortion? What if What if she wouldn't have even gotten pregnant? You know, you know, this December will be 30 years of marriage for me, and I've had such a wonderful relationship with her and a wonderful marriage. And what
would have it done? That would have done to your relationship.
Yeah. She's kept me so incredibly grounded in this business, I feel, and has saved me, I think, inadvertently from like the traps that
distractions
is very easily for us to fall into. And so, like, what if, you know?
You know, and also celebrating the different versions they never were about ourselves, you know? Those examples were examples that definitely feel, feel like just rude awakenings, you know? And there was also times in our lives where we were delusional about, like, I'll be okay dying now, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Dying young.
Yeah, dying young. Like
James Dean.
Yeah, like it's
leave a good looking corpse.
Exactly. Well, you know, that's the thing that I reflect on is I went on a U.S. Soul tour.
Yeah.
And I was flying over Baghdad. I think it was Baghdad. Where was I? I forget what it was. When we were on our way to Iraq.
Yeah.
And we were flying in an Osprey. You know, and an Osprey, for those who don't know, is a military aircraft that kind of takes off like a helicopter in midair. The wings start tilting forward, and then the jets pick up, and then it shoots from midair, and it becomes a plane. And the back is, you know, open, and it has a 50 cal on the side and all that. And we were going in from, you know, with those, we were going from base to base where we were in the Middle East, you know, entertaining the troops. And as we were flying over, I looked throughout the back, and the flares shut out. Right, and when that does, it looks like little fireworks
right
through the back of the plane. And I was like, oh, interesting. I didn't think much of it. Then we did a comeback landing into the base that we were supposed to come in and bring entertainment through the USO. And one of the colonels looks up to me. He looks up and he goes, that was crazy, huh? And I was like, what was that? He goes, we got locked down by a missile. And I was like, excuse me? We got what? Because we got locked down by a missile. And I was like, what? He goes, oh, but don't worry, they never hit anything.
I'm sorry, you got what by a missile?
We got locked on by a missile.
No. So the flares that you thought were just flares, it was a missile.
It was to evade a missile that was locked onto the thing. And,
whoa.
And I was like, wait, what do you mean? Like, you got locked on? I go, don't worry, they never hit anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they never hit anything. It made me think in that moment. I'm like, let's see. If I would have died on this plane right now, in the Middle East, military aircraft, 27 years old, 28 years old, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'd get my VH1 movie. 100%.
VH1 movie.
I get my VH1 movie for sure. That's what I thought about it. But, you know, but now, like, looking back at that.
Yeah.
Bro, like, I would have been so sad if we didn't have our kids.
Yeah.
Right? I would have been so sad if we hadn't experienced.
But you would have had a VH1 movie, though.
But yes. But no kids to watch.
Damn it.
No kids to watch the VH1 movie, you know?
Oh, man.
But if you hadn't gotten into entertainment, what do you think, what path? Because, I mean, it's so hard to imagine it because we've done it for so long and since we're so young. At the moment we were supposed to make that decision. I know I read some things that I probably would have explored, but what about for you?
Something creative for sure. Something creative. I don't know if teaching. I don't know if because there's other creative avenues too, right? Like I know you and I have a passion for like furniture. Like we love furniture, and we love, to me, furniture, like certain pieces, like art pieces to me.
Yeah.
You know,
they say something.
Yes.
They understand something. Yeah.
Yes, man. Furniture. I love architecture. You know, I love houses. One of my
and your lady's a super gifted interior designer.
Yeah. My wife Elsie's a super Very,
Shout out to
very
Shout out to
talented.
Els.
Shout out to Elsie. Very talented interior designer. Like I love when people go, "What's your guilty pleasure when you watch stuff on TV?" Like I love seeing old houses being renovated into like new, like old. I'm talking like 100 years old.
Sure.
Maybe I'd be doing that. I don't know. Like
That's a pretty good trajectory too. That would be
Yeah.
really fulfilling, creative,
yeah,
profitable.
yeah.
You know, you could really make a living like that.
Yes, maybe something with music, maybe, but definitely something that has a creative bent, That's why I love even like producing so much, I feel like sometimes producing could feel like work or a job, but to me, I feel like no, you're putting the pieces to a puzzle together. You're curating something, although you're not the director per se or the writer or the actor. You're curating this like gigantic piece, man, and you're putting all the pieces together. To me, there's a form of art to that,
And everyone has a contribution of the piece of the puzzle, right? So like that there's honor in that as well.
Yeah. It's almost like you're like a conductor in an orchestra, right? And you have your horn section and your,
Well, I mean, the thing is that's so interesting is if the performing arts hadn't worked out for you, do you think it would have still led you to directing and writing and producing?
I don't know, man.
Because it would have not been available. You would have not like tested the performance, which would have led to the curiosity of the other jobs on that set or on that stage, which eventually made you passionate over the exploration of directing or writing a screenplay, or right. I mean, like the performing is a gateway to, to everything else that touches the product. The entertainment piece.
It almost feels like those like now. So my nephew, my oldest brother's kid, is in the fall is starting as a freshman at the Art Institute in Chicago.
Amazing.
So he calls me a lot, and we have a lot of conversations about like what that is, and it's really interesting seeing our industry through his perspective, right? This younger perspective, and he only knows what he knows, right? And so I try to tell him like it's so different now in your generation, man. You have YouTube, you could film a movie on a phone. And so I think that if we had that, maybe when you and I were younger, it wouldn't have only been acting, right? It would have been like, well, I'm going to go make my own movie. I'm going to go do these other things. But we didn't have those avenues, What about you? What do you think you would have been doing?
I was always curious. I was very social, so I was always curious about the human mind.
Yeah.
I think psychology would have been interesting for me. The exploration of the why people grow up with certain habits, character traits. Where they gain their ripples of experience. How their inheritance informs how they handle certain things, like how they handle tragedy, how they handle breakups, how they handle happiness. That made me, because I also think that you have to be a little bit of a psychologist to do this acting thing. You have to you have to kind of understand where these characters are coming from in order to predict how they will react based on the performances that you need to bring a character not only to life, but to tell their story in a way that embodies their shoes that are so far removed from the ones you wear. So to me, psychology felt like I love talking to people. I love getting in people's minds and seeing how can I understand you? What is your love language? How can I communicate in the most efficient way? Like that kind of stuff is something that fascinates me. But if you asked my 19-year-old self, I would have been a pilot for the Air Force. I would have worn a uniform. I would have been part of the armed forces for sure.
But then do you feel that those professions would have suppressed your personality?
It's interesting. If you would have joined the armed forces, I would have been programmed, to do something different, being of service, sure. Yeah. But maybe, I don't know, maybe like, being part of that community also, there is room for that type of livelihood of like connecting with others, you know?
You think you would have gone into politics? Let me tell you why I asked this. Because, and I remember Gabriel Luna, when he was here, he said it best. He goes, man, Wilmer, I remember when you and I went to meet Obama. and he let out an interesting observation about you and how your ability to sort of work the room in the way that you did. And he said that he learned a lot from watching you do that. And I feel that those are aspects of a leader. Those are aspects that perhaps, and when I say a politician, I mean it in the most positive way.
No, I totally understand.
I don't mean it in the most negative way. But those are attributes that, like, you either have it or you don't, right? Like Obama, right? Like, he has particular attributes that you either have it or you don't, right? And which is what I feel contributed to him being able to.
Yeah, what makes him so special too. Yeah.
And you possess a lot of those attributes, and which is why I think Gabriel made those comments about you. And I've known you, 25 years, so I've always known that about you. So I always wondered, like, if you ever thought of taking some sort of leadership or attaining to take a leadership role in that regard because of the natural attributes that you possess.
I receive all that, so I appreciate you seeing me with those eyes and that light. It's a great sentiment. I love being of service. That's why I've been serving with the USO for 20 years.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely curious about the science of unity, and to think about politics as a career in the times we live right now feels almost deflating. It feels like it's not a celebration of what we can do when we come together. It feels more like a debate on how we chip away at the credibility of the system that we have built for so many, a couple hundred years now in America. I've always been curious about, the practice of common sense in the role of a leader. Is common sense a gift, or is it a delusion when you're a politic?
It may start off that way.
Yes, and then somewhere along the way, perhaps it dies, or it gets muted, or it gets put in a shelf, or it gets corrupted. So, but it's interesting. I've had so many friends, like Rosario Dawson and my friend Maria Teresa Kumar, who is the leader of Voto Latino.
Yeah.
And my friend Jane Horton, who is a Gold Star wife and former advisor to Secretary of Defense. She's like, let me know when you're ready to run.
So I'm not. Whoa, hold on a second. Yeah. So I'm not the first person that's saying this.
No, you're not.
Okay.
But look, I receive it with the most humble, like, wow, like that. What an ultimate, compliment to get.
Yeah.
It is a very fragile responsibility, and you also wonder, where do you make the most noise? Do you make the most noise in the inside, or do you make the most noise in the outside?
Right.
Feels to me like, as a storyteller and as an amplifier of stories, feels to me like, it's a form of unity cultivation.
Yeah.
How do you get everyone on the same theater? How do you get everyone to tune in together at 8:00 to enjoy one thing? And for that moment, you put all our differences aside, and we all admit that we all like this thing together. We don't have to like our beliefs, our religions, our politics, our preferences.
Yeah.
We can agree that we like this movie, that we like this show, and there's a power that comes with uniting voices into one room. Now, that being said, like, have I ever thought about it? I mean, like, I would say it's crossed my mind, like, maybe I could do that, or maybe I should, or perhaps I can contribute something to this country that I never thought that I had in me, right? But it's a hard question to answer in this very moment.
No.
It's very hard to answer.
I was just wondering if you ever thought about it, because you naturally possess the attributes that I am, and Maria and Rosario all feel that you possess, right? They're very specific attributes that a good politician should possess, and you possess it, and in the most positive way, like I said, because obviously being one now is probably much different than what it was maybe 25 years ago when you were starting acting.
For sure. I will tell you this. I love this country.
Yeah.
I love what is provided to millions and millions of people that have dreams, right? It's one of the few places in the planet where if you dream it, it can be materialized.
Yeah.
Right? I love people from around the world.
Yeah.
And guess where they're at? People from around the world are in this country too.
Yeah.
You know, so there's something really magical about that. I would say never, but at this point, I think I can make a little more noise outside, you know, but,
Totally.
But yeah, you know, it's an interesting thing. I mean, you know, it would be a really cool thing to become one of the governors of California and bring all of film and television back. That's one thing
I mean, Arnold did it.
Yeah.
You know. Little light bulb, good. Maybe.
But so I think those are kind of the options that I would have taken. But if you weren't an actor, what other profession? Like obviously for me, it was like maybe psychologist, maybe
maybe something in real estate, you know, because I dabble in real estate now too, and I love it, and I feel like there's a form of art in it also. I love houses.
What do you mean with real estate? What do you do in the real estate world?
I own a couple pieces of property, you know, and I just love architecture and real estate, and to me that's art. Like I can walk into a house and like I in order for me to buy a house or to live in, I have to feel the energy, you know. The house we live in now, we've been there 27 years, and I knew the first 30 seconds that I walked in, I was like, yeah, this is it, you know. There's just an energy in that house, you know. So maybe if I wasn't acting or doing anything in the arts, I would have been in real estate. Maybe I would have been developing. Maybe I would have been remodeling. Maybe I would have been tackling like these old houses in Chicago and turning.
You would still be
around.
living in Chicago, right?
I don't know.
You know where I've painted you for. You would have been in Chicago, and you're like, I'm going to New York.
Maybe.
It's that urban concrete jungle that I think it's in your veins.
I like it. I like the cold. A lot of people don't like the cold.
Yeah, you like weather. You like seasons.
I like seasons. I like wearing a coat.
Yeah.
You know, some people are like, no, you know, I want to be in the sun. I'm not that guy, man.
Yeah.
I grew up in harsh winters and I like it. Like when it gets gloomy here in California and it's cold, like my wife has like 2 sweaters on and I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes, the gloomy weather. I love it. You know, where do you think you would have been if you were
Miami? I love New York. Don't get me wrong. New York is like my city. I love New York. That's my world that I love so much. I love the people. I love the energy. I love everything about New York.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an LA guy.
Yeah.
You know, 100%. But there's something about Miami that wakes up a different version of my Latinidad.
What do you mean? Why?
The food.
Oh, yeah.
The music.
Yeah.
The people. Right? The multicolor spectrum of all Latinos that gather around there. Argentinians, Brazilians, Colombians, Venezuelans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans. You know, like there's this collective, sound.
Yeah.
There's aesthetic. Something different, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, here in LA, I'm an honorary Mexican, so I love I love LA. LA is my, you know, I feel like I'm a Chicano too, you know, but.
Same. You know, Chicago is one of the only cities I've ever been to where Puerto Ricans and Mexicans like live together. I always thought it was like that everywhere. I even came to LA and I was like, wow, there's no Puerto Ricans here, you know. Right. I have 2 aunts who are Mexican. So I have a bunch of half Mexican, half Puerto Rican cousins.
Crazy.
All of my best friend Roger when I was growing up, half Mexican, half Ecuadorian. These 2 twins, Rich and Hav, half Mexican, half Guatemalan. Wow. And a bunch of my friends, Chewy, my friend Jose, half Puerto Rican, half Mexican. And so like, I just thought it was that way everywhere. So I very much grew up with Mexican culture, you know. And it surprised me to see that not exist in other cities. But I hear you about Miami. You know what I love about Miami is one of the only cities that I've been to where our people are, and how can I word this correctly? Our people are in positions of power, man, and positions of leadership. And I don't feel discriminated against. I don't feel like, you know, I always feel incredibly welcomed when I'm there and not looked down upon.
I'm telling you, super vibrant. It's very vibrant, super diverse. Yeah. It's really beautiful. So, okay, so closing this episode, Freddy,
Yes, Wilmer.
What if we never met?
Damn it. I don't even want to think
I don't
about
want to
it.
imagine that.
don't
Okay,
even
let's
wanna-
close this. This episode's over.
I don't want to
This
answer that
episode's
question.
over. This episode.
Forget it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Wilmer Valderrama.
I'm Freddy Rodriguez.
Thank you for watching this episode of Dos Amigos. This got very dark very quick. Until the next episode, thank you for watching or listening. We love you guys.